Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another fantastically wonderful episode of the DLF Trade Show on the DLF YouTube channel. Bing. We are here to talk. We're talking wide receivers today, and it may not always be for good reasons, but we're talking about wide receivers because there's no running backs left to talk about anymore. I mean, let's start that. Of course, we're starting with a hurt wide receiver, but okay. So the first thing we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about Justin Jefferson, and this is insane to me because he got hurt. We didn't really know what it was. We found out it's a hamstring injury, and 3 seconds later, he's on the IR. There's no more detail. There's no timeline. There's no severity. There's no actual injury. It's just Justin Jefferson, IR, hamstring. All right, so the first trade, okay, both trades, 12-team Superflex. Let's get into the first one. Justin Jefferson, Gabe Davis, and a 25-second for Steph Diggs, Cooper Kupp, and Hunter Henry. Man, Cooper Kupp fell, he was at 700 or around there in the analyzer in September. And that just, I guess that's what being hurt does. I wonder what'll happen if we did mocks right now and he shot back up, especially after what he did coming back his first game. Justin Jefferson, 875, and that doesn't really matter what the rest are. That's the total for the side is 1028. Steph Diggs by himself, 501. Cooper Kupp, 369, and that side's total is 890. I don't hate this as much as the analyzer does. I get it. That age is terrifying.
Yeah.
Going from two 24-year-olds to a 29 and a 30-year-old and Hunter Henry, who has done absolutely nothing since week 1. This feels like a trade done in week 8, not a trade done in week 5. This feels like on the road to the playoffs, I'm panicking and I need points in my lineup. That's what this feels like. But you're getting a lot of points. So I get it. This is all in. Yeah. I'm good with it. Do I have the guts to go the other way around if I don't want to score points? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Every minute that passes, Steph Diggs gets closer to 30 and Cooper Kupp comes closer to being in the non-point scoring season where he's worth less than a first again. And Hunter Henry back down to 0. So, yeah, if I want these points off my bench, oh man, this is beautiful to go get Justin Jefferson.
There is so many points on the Diggs and Kupp side, and I totally get it. But I just feel like and it's weird. I'm about to say this is going to sound really weird, but I feel like Gabe Davis in the second are just enough added to the Jefferson side to make me not want to do this trade. If it was just Jefferson for Diggs and Kupp, I don't even need Hunter Henry, but just Jefferson for Diggs and Kupp, then I feel like, yes, I would probably do that. But when you add in Gabe Davis, who low key has been a top 15 wide receiver, he is the wide receiver 14 in fantasy.
3 weeks in a row, touchdowns.
4 weeks in a row. Thank you very
4?
much. Yep.
My bad. Sorry, Gabe. I know you watch. My bad.
He's just been productive. He is Christian Watson, essentially, where it's just you're just waiting for that big play, and that big play happens more often than it doesn't. And he is a solid ceiling bet in your lineup. And the second, while it's 2 years away and is, still a second, it's a second.
That's a second. I get it.
That's a solid piece. So I feel like those two pieces are just enough to make me say, I don't really want to move Justin Jefferson when you include Gabe Davis in the second. And kudos to the person trading away Diggs and Kupp to be able to get Gabe Davis in the second.
So, if Hunter Henry was if that was Logan Thomas, how different do you feel? A low value tight end, but was actually scoring points.
That I probably Cole Kmet or Pat Freiermuth or somebody.
Someone a little younger, I guess.
Maybe a little bit younger. I feel maybe a little bit better about as well too. Or just wipe Henry in the second. And if it was just Jefferson and Davis for Diggs and Kupp, then sure, I'd probably feel good about that as well.
Yeah, because it's one of those two pieces, whatever, it's fine. If it means getting the deal done, I'll throw one of them in. But once it turns into both, it's too much.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, I get that. This next one, I have different feelings on. Justin Jefferson for Tua, James Cook, and Jeff Wilson Jr. Justin Jefferson, 875 points. Tua, 722. James Cook, 161. Jeff Wilson 16 for a total of 899. So technically 3-for-1. You're barely overpaying, even though you're really compiling some value. Startups, I guess let me just take this straight up: Justin Jefferson or Tua for you?
That was where my head went to originally, because I think, especially now when you toss in the injury, the fact that Minnesota sucks, and there's been all these talks about them trading away Kirk Cousins and stuff. There is a narrative that you can spin, which I don't think is all that unreasonable, that you would take Tua over Justin Jefferson in a super flex, because Jefferson's value has lowered a little bit because of the injury and what is he without Kirk Cousins. And then Tua is just doing Tua things. He's got Tyreek Hill to throw to for the next 3 years, Jalen Waddle, Devon Achane out of the backfield, Raheem Mostert out of the backfield. Like, he looks like a top 7 or 8 dynasty quarterback. And in startups all season long, or all summer long, Justin Jefferson was in that QB 7-ish kind of range. Like, it was like the top 6 for sure. Maybe Trevor Lawrence, maybe Justin Fields, Justin Jefferson. Those were like kind of like enveloped into that next kind of tier there. And if Tua has ascended to that range of quarterback and Justin Jefferson's dropped a little bit, I think those two are pretty reasonably close together, to where if you're able to get a good RB2 in James Cook, a possible decent low end RB2 or high end RB3 in Jeff Wilson without Devon Achane now, for the points right now, it's not a terrible trade, and it could be more forward thinking than you might think it is right now.
Yeah, Tua right now, QB5, both in total points and points, excuse me, points per game, 24.76 points per game, an entire 0.06 away from Kirk Cousins in spot 4. Yeah, whether you believe in Tua or not, you have to believe in this Dolphins offense. In a quote unquote bad game, he put up 16.8 points. It's, he's not going to lose you anything any week, and he will absolutely have the ability to win you weeks. I want more than James Cook and Jeff Wilson. I think that's really what it is. I'm still of the idea that Jefferson is worth more than Tua. It's much closer than it used to be. Let's throw that out there. Justin Jefferson is averaging 23 points per game, and that's including the 5.8 points that he scored before getting hurt. Justin Jefferson is outscoring Tua. I think that's what's holding me back from liking this as much as I should, because getting a stud quarterback who is, I should have this up in front of me, 25 is the right move. So the more I talk about it, the more it's mostly fine. It's I'm still going to side with Jefferson, just again because it is James Cook and Jeff Wilson on here. But it's close. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. I still believe in T. Higgins. I think he's a fantastic player. He got screwed over by having, Jamar Chase on the same team as he did, but not to say we have Waddle and Hill both crushing it as they are. I can't, I'm not making excuses because I don't have any excuses to make. I just believe in the player, so I'm still going to ride it. He'll get healthy, play with a healthy Joe Burrow, and maybe his situation changes. And if it does, he'll be the wide receiver 1 on that team. So I believe in that. And of course, I was about to say, well, yeah, Puka is great in the system he's in, but he's in the system he's in, so who cares? So 12-team Superflex. The first trade is T. Higgins, a late first, and Nick Chubb for Jonathan Taylor and Mike Evans. T. Higgins in at 477, a late first, 228. Nick Chubb still at 177 for a total of 883. Jonathan Taylor, 489. Mike Evans, 171. Total of 660. I'm going to phrase this wrongly because I am by no means saying Zach Moss is going to steal work from Jonathan Taylor. But are you worried about Zach Moss in the backfield with Jonathan Taylor? Because, again, Jonathan Taylor is a more talented running back, so clearly I believe he could do plus whatever Zach Moss is doing. But, regardless of how much they just paid Jonathan Taylor, how do you sit someone who just went for 150 and 2?
You don't immediately. You just slowly wean him off of the of the volume and give it back to Jonathan Taylor.
Like,
I think Zach Moss could be a problem for another week or two, but I just got a like an FLA alert before we started recording that they are ramping up Jonathan Taylor's workload in
oh,
practice.
absolutely last week's was not what to be expected for
Right.
sure. But like,
No,
what
I'm
if
not.
this settles at 60-40 to Jonathan Taylor? That's not enough for Jonathan Taylor.
Eh, it could be. Depending on if he gets some receiving workload in, which Zach Moss has got decent receiving workload with both Gardner Minshew and Anthony Richardson. I I mean, I'm taking Higgins over Jonathan Taylor, or at least if they're pretty much a wash,
Yeah, I think they're pretty even at this point.
to where I'm 100% taking the first over Mike Evans, and you get a free Nick Chubb just to see what happens with Nick Chubb. That's
Yep.
basically how this trade breaks down.
Yep. Okay, move on. Next trade. Oh man, that picture of Ty J Spears is like almost completely. I couldn't even see there was a guy there. T Higgins and Ty J Spears for Austin Eckler. T Higgins 477, Ty J Spears 61 for a total of 539. Austin Eckler 428. Caution: Team A is giving up the highest value asset and the most pieces in the deal. Now, Austin Eckler is, I believe, what I read was quote optimistic to return for Week 6.
I think that's the plan, is for him to be back this week,
And
and
it's
if
after the
not, probably
bye.
100% next week. Yeah,
I get. Let's do what we did before. T Higgins or Austin Eckler.
I would take T. I mean, I'm taking Jonathan Taylor over Austin Eckler in Dynasty, so I would take by the whatever that math property law is, T Higgins over Austin Eckler,
Same.
and then you get a free Ty J Spears.
Question, unrelated, sort of. Uh, who do you think is more valuable, Christian Watson or Austin Eckler?
Austin Eckler.
Yeah, by a lot.
Maybe a second will do it.
Yeah, you think it's that much? I thought it was close enough that I would be able to get a rebuilding team to take the young wide receiver, and he was very against it. Oh
Interesting.
well, it was worth a shot. All right, so the next one is a guy we've talked about, and it's Jaxon Smith-Njigba. And I want to start this out by saying, if you stopped and thought about it before this season, before drafting Jaxon Smith-Njigba, you knew this season was a wash. At least the first chunk of it. Like, you should not really have expected JSN to even get on the field all that much. I was hoping they would use him as a tight end, like, because they hate throwing to a tight end, and he's a better route runner than whatever
He's
tight ends
better
they can
than
put on the
Noah
field.
Fant, for sure.
But they still don't play 3 wide receiver sets for some reason. So he's just not on the field at all. And honestly, like, I don't care at all. I am not putting any sort of discount on JSN's name at all. Like, this is what I expected. I expected needing to wait until Tyler Lockett goes away, which should be at the end of this year.
Mm-hmm.
And next year it's the DK and JSN show. And only players you can refer to by their initials.
I love it.
So I guess let me just ask before we go, are you in line with that thinking?
Yeah. I am a little like my quote on this that I used in a previous video was the Michael Scott, like, I'm not superstitious, but I am a little stitious.
Yeah.
Where it's like I'm not really worried, but I'm not worried about JSN, you know?
So let's get to the trades. 12-team Superflex, JSN and Roshan Johnson. I love both of them. Yeah, so like this is already tough for me because JSN and Roshan, I just love both of them. Josh Jacobs finally came out and scored some points. 2 weeks ago had a really good game. Last week found the end zone. At least I don't remember. I blocked that game out of my. Like I watched it for like 5 minutes. I'm just like, I'm gonna forget this game is on right now. Like it was not great. Like what is Josh Jacobs even doing this year? Josh Jacobs currently RB10 with 15 points per game, and that's based off the past 2 games of getting 28 and 20. So, I mean, Josh Jacobs is back and getting work. So this is still selling low on JSN to me. Like, if this were JSN for Jacobs, it would be one of those, I could picture it being crap. I'm competing. My team isn't doing as well as it does. I have JSN as an ancillary piece for the future, but I need something for now. Let me go do this. But you're also trading away Roshan, who's now the starting running back.
So
Why are you laughing at me?
This is my trade. This is my JSN trade. I traded away JSN for Josh Jacobs on this.
And is it everything I just said?
It was literally everything you just said. I haven't had Aaron Jones for like 4 weeks now.
It's killing me.
I lost J.K. Dobbins,
Yep.
and my wide receiver group is CeeDee Lamb, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Tyreek Hill, Hollywood Brown, and Gabe
Yep.
Davis, and Jackson Smith-Njigba.
Oof.
So I've kind of been like, do I ride with Roshan? I started Khalil Herbert when they played Denver, and I've been starting like just like trying to piecemeal my RB2. And so I was just like, I've been trying to see what I can get for JSN or if I could trade for another cheap like running back. And like I was going after like DeAndre Swift or Kyron Williams to get like Kyron in a first for JSN. Nobody was biting on that one. And then I reached out to our old friend Brian Haar, who has like 5 running backs. Like he has like Brees Hall, Josh Jacobs, Jonathan Taylor, and Kenneth Walker, and just lost Justin Jefferson. So I was like, hey, I was like, do you want to make a deal here? So we ended up working out this kind of thing. And I mean, I don't really disagree that I think in a vacuum that you should take JSN over Josh Jacobs. I feel like they're relatively close. Roshan to me is like just like that second round pick that you just add in to get the deal done because it makes more sense for your team, especially for my team. The way like I'm 4-1, most points
Yeah.
for. I was like, I'm just gonna go out and
Yep.
not have JSN sit on my bench and actually turn him into something usable, but
Yep.
usable enough still that I will still have future value in Josh Jacobs as well too. Like I'm not like buying like Derrick Henry for him. You know,
Right.
Jacobs should still have 2 or 3 more years of good production.
Just depends where. No, yeah, no, I completely agree with you. Like I said, I understand the circumstance. I swear I did not know any of that backstory whatsoever. It just that's what this feels like, and I've done it, and I'm sure I'll do it later this season. Like
Mhm.
it hurts, but that's sometimes what you have to do. And of course, you would always say I'd love to do it without putting in Roshan, but that's also me loving Roshan. But like, let's just pretend that was a mid-second. Like again, like Addison said, you throw in a second to get a deal done,
Right.
and that's what this is. And I get it. On the other hand, I love getting those 2 guys for Josh Jacobs.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think this is definitely a very good trade on both sides for sure, and I'm sure it leans in towards the JSN side. I threw out a poll on Twitter, and I think it was like 70-30 in favor of JSN, so
Yeah, it feels right.
it is what it is.
Yeah. All right, next one. JSN straight up for Michael Pittman. I loved the 30 seconds we got to see of a healthy Michael Pittman and a healthy Anthony Richardson together. And then Richardson gets the concussion, comes back, and Michael Pittman gets 1 catch and a 2-point conversion. And then he gets hurt again. I was so excited for this season for Michael Pittman because, you know, rookie quarterbacks don't usually produce like top 24 wide receivers, no less what it looked like Pittman might be able to do because he was getting targets.
Mhm.
Though I do love now what Josh Downs is starting to do. Yes.
Yes.
But to me, this is youth for points, and there's someone better I'd rather go after. Like if you could tell me I could get DJ Moore instead of Michael Pittman, if I can get almost any solid scoring wide receiver too, I would probably do it.
I would take JSN in this as well too. This is one of those trades where if somebody were to like DM me and be like, "Hey, how would you feel about sending away JSN for Michael Pittman? I just lost Justin Jefferson and I want some points because I'm competing." I would respond back with, instead of trading away JSN for Pittman, how can you go out and acquire Adam
Adam
Thielen?
Thielen.
Or how can you get
Oh,
Michael
that was so
Thomas?
weird. Yeah.
Or you can go get Josh Downs, like you said. Like Josh Downs has been producing well, has done really good with Gardner Minshew in the 2 games that Gardner has played. How can you figure out a wide receiver as just a band-aid instead of moving off of so much future value in JSN and future potential, like you said, because you just need the points. And there's a bunch of different ways to find points for cheaper.
All right, let's talk about this next trade, which was almost what you were talking about, but then I saw the player involved. JSN for a 24 first and Tutu Atwell. There is buying points, and then there's buying someone who was scoring points.
Was points. Keyword was.
Yeah, Tutu Atwell, especially with Cooper Kupp back, is relegated back down to he's going to catch 2 balls. Hopefully, one of them is for more than 10 yards, and fingers crossed it's a touchdown. Let's look at the values. Again, 457 for JSN, believe what you want. But a mid first is 348 and 2-2 is 41. So a total of 389, 390. It's not, no, that's not it. That's absolutely not it. Just besides the fact, like, if this were Adam Thielen, this was that guy that's scoring points, it would fall into the I get it, but I don't like it.
Mm-hmm.
But this isn't even that.
Right.
So not a fan.
So I was looking in the analyzer, the fact that they're missing 100 points here, or so I was looking somewhere between 2 and 100 analyzer points to see what we could substitute here. And 109 points is Jaden Reed. So that fits Young and potentially points. Like I feel like him and Tutu Atwell are going to be similar here on out with Cooper Kupp back, if not
But then
even leaning
still,
towards Jaden Reed.
But you're getting off of a 21-year-old wide receiver.
Well, it's just shifting over to, well, you get the mid first. So you could probably get another wide receiver next year and the shot on Jaden Reed. There's also like Rashee Rice or Luke Musgrave was in there too. I mean, these aren't fantastic names to be like, oh, I want to trade down from JSN to a young wide receiver.
Well, yeah,
These are just ways to make that trade look better, I think. But yeah, I definitely agree. I feel like you need to get up more into like the Christian Kirk kind of range or the Hollywood Brown kind of range.
Especially if we're talking scoring points. Absolutely. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And still adding the first.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Okay. So we had some trades in the listener/watcher league I wanted to talk about because I mean, I'm always one to admit when I'm wrong because it happens so often. You just get used to it. Well, Alvin Kamara hasn't necessarily looked great on the field. He's putting up points, so who cares?
Ton of points.
That first game, he got like 15 targets, and then at least he scored a touchdown last game. So in our league, which is 12-team Superflex PPR tight end premium, because like I said, I am very lazy when it comes to setting up leagues. Well, it's 2014, but it's 2 copies, so it's pretty much 12-team. Alvin Kamara for a 24 and 25 second. As we've said many, many times this show, if throwing a second and gets a deal done, it's probably worth it just to do it, especially if it's a 25. And, even during the show, we were just like, I guess a late second, a 24 second for Kamara, if you believe in him, sure, why not? In which case, would I throw in a 25 second if I believe in him just to get him on my team? Yep.
Sure.
So it's fine. This next one is interesting. 24, again, 0.75 premium for tight ends. 24 second and Luke Musgrave for George Kittle and Curtis Samuel. The 24 second at 116, Luke Musgrave at 74 for a total of 189. Kittle 280, Curtis Samuel for 12.5 for a total of 293. So Addison, I found out, just hates George Kittle, both as a player and as a human being.
No. I just want to get off the roller coaster. I'm ready to get off the ride.
Because I forgot what the offer was, but we got, I think it was Kittle for a second and third. I'm like, I don't hate that, even though we have, an okay tight end room. And he's just like, I don't. And I'm just like,
I wasn't feeling it. I have Kittle in TA11 and roller coaster for sure, dude. Like the last 2 weeks have been great, but man, like he is such a guy that like the lows are so low, but you have to keep him high because he is one of only like 3 or 4 tight ends in the league that have the ability to go off for 150 and 2 or score 3 touchdowns like he did Monday night. Like it's just like it's so aggravating that he could just have a week like that and then the next week will be like 5th on the target totem pole. I don't mind this one on both sides of it. I do think that I would take George Kittle on this one. This is basically Kittle for 2 seconds. I like Luke Musgrave. I definitely think that he should be a dynasty tight end 1, but like if you're from tight end 10 to tight end 18, you're all basically the same, So by me saying that he's a tight end 1 in dynasty, I don't really think is all that effective or important unless he was like a top 7 guy, which he's not. But he definitely has the ability to grow. So that's why I like that kind of the future aspect of it, of getting Luke Musgrave, getting the second round pick, and you gave up George Kittle for it. I'm not even including Curtis Samuel in this trade. He's I just wish that it was, if I was selling Kittle, I would want Musgrave in a first. And maybe I'll kick back something better than Curtis Samuel. That's the way that I would have looked at it if it was me.
Yeah, I like what Musgrave is doing. It's fine for a rookie tight end. It's good.
Very good.
I need to see something of that offense to make me believe. Let's put it this way. I think there is plenty of time before a spike in Musgrave's value that I'll be able to trade for him again, especially in a 2-copy league, where if I can add a second to him, get me some George Kittle, and get me a solid bye week fill-in in Curtis Samuel, I think I do that pretty easily. Other way around, if I don't want these points and I'm building for the future, this is probably a solid move, because I can absolutely see a situation next year where Luke Musgrave is Freiermuth-ish. At worst, Tyler Higbee-ish, which he probably is Tyler Higbee-ish now, in which case it's fine. So, like, I get this both ways. Value-wise, I prefer the player side, but again, we're in a world where value isn't just value anymore, because it's week 5. So, situation absolutely dictates value of, your valuing of the players on the trading board. So I get this. It was a good trade. I saw it and I'm like, kind of wish we got Kittle. Kind of hate Addison right now.
It was not a second and third. What was the actual trade? I can tell you it was not a second and third.
I feel like it was.
Nope. I'm going to go in.
Oh yeah, and we have to replace that dude.
Oh yeah.
Well, I guess I'll email him, see if he responds.
It was Kittle for. Well, one's in here is Kittle for Dulcich in a first. I was not doing that.
Was that the trade?
There was Kittle in a second for Dulcich in a first.
Yeah, that was the one I didn't hate. It's our 25 first. It's going to be the 124. What's the difference?
Which is the 112. Yeah. 2-copy.
It just sounded better to say 124.
124.
I get it. I know. I liked it, but like clearly not to the point of even pushing. Like if it was for a player I cared more about, I would clearly, I'm not going to try and force him to be okay with it, like, because that's not being a good co-manager, but I would at least try and have made an argument for it. He said no, and I was just like, all right.
I just said I wasn't feeling it. I don't like the George Kittle ride. It's not fun for me.
Wait, I respect your vibe.
I respect your vibe. I don't know if that's an actual phrase that the kids say, but it
is now. No, it's what the old people say now. Yes. See, I even pissed off my camera. It went out of focus for the first time.
Yeah, I was like, I don't even know what that was. We're just not going to do that.
Gone. Oh. And I feel like there is no better time to end a show than on whatever the heck I just said. So thank you everyone for watching, listening along. DLF Trade Show on the DLF YouTube channel. Russ Fisher at Dynasty Outhouse. Addison Hayes at AmazeHayes_. We'll catch you next time.